Hey, Writerly Besties, and welcome back to the Writing with Anna new podcast where we talk about all things writing. In today's episode, I think this is just such a important thing and topic really to talk about because I think it's something that a lot of you of my viewers on my channel have been asking me about. And the reason why I haven't kind of done a video about it or just kind of explained or given you guys some tips around this sort of topic, it's because I struggle with it too. And in today's episode, of course, you saw the title, we're going to be talking about how to balance writing with school. And my, it is very, very hard. I think becoming a writer, no matter what age you are, whether you're in school, whether you're at university or, having a job, being a writer, you always have things to do and your life's just always so busy and so tiring, and where do you find not only the time but the energy to come back home, sit down and bring yourself, your full self, to your stories that you care so much about? So, of course, today I just want to kind of say that I am still kind of going through this and, finding the correct balance between writing and, school. But I also have some really great tips that I've been doing and I've been working through, and a really, really clean, I think, 3-step process that we're going to be talking about today about how to really balance writing and school. Okay, so I wanted to kind of start off with when I was in school. So I've graduated. I'm 18 now, so I'm in my first year of law school, and I'm gonna say I haven't stopped doing this, but I distinctly remember throughout my school, especially high school, I would daydream in class so much. Even walking downstairs, I would almost trip because I'd be literally thinking about my books and what I want to write when I get home, and it would just be so fun. And I just people would tell me what, Anna, what are you staring at, what what are you doing? And I'd be I guess this is called daydreaming, and it's so fun. I recommend it, but probably not in class, guys, not in class. Anyways, so yes, I still daydream to this day. I can daydream whenever, really. It doesn't have to be when I'm supposed to be in class listening, but I just wanted to kind of say that as a little bit of a fun thing. But if you daydream, it's totally cool. I think all writers do it, really. It's something that, we all do. But the first thing I wanted to kind of give you guys, the first tip, the first step to kind of think about, is to set your priorities straight. So when we are talking about balancing, your writing life, your schooling life, you have priorities in your whole life, right? So kind of setting them straight and really just, taking a step back and recognizing that, yes, okay, I adore writing so much. It's such a big part of my life, but it is not my priority. And I mean, it could be, that would be amazing, but I think I would recommend putting school as your top priority. So when you do come home, if you do have a choice of either writing or either, doing your homework or that assignment that's due the next day, definitely do your assignment. And I think as you kind of start to realize this and prioritize school more, you'll find that you have more time to write in the end. So it's all about the end game, really. So yeah, usually your priorities would be number 1, school, and number 2, writing. But of course, in between, maybe 1 and 2, there could be a lot more things like family or sport or, your part-time job. So really just making a clear list for yourself, either in your head or even put it on a post-it note. Just kind of remember that, okay, I need to graduate school and get that diploma. So that's my priority. But of course, writing is still extremely important in your life. So that's the first thing, just to be realistic and to set priorities. Okay, so step 2 is routine. Okay, so when I talk about routine, you might think oh, I don't want to have a whole morning routine. I don't want to have to do this and do that. And I'm so bad at keeping habits or whatever. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this simple question that I want you guys to answer right now. And that is, what time do you find easiest to write? I'm not asking you what time would you like to write, because I feel like everyone would really love, that certain time of the day. You're like, oh, it would be so nice. Like maybe you see the sunrise or the sunset, like, oh, that would be amazing. That's when I want to write. But that's not always realistic. I think what time is easiest for you to write, what is like comes most naturally. You've probably been writing for a little while if you have, and you probably have realized like, okay, I'm more of a night owl. I, seem to get more ideas at night where everyone's asleep. Or you can be the total opposite of me, by the way. That is like you wake up early, your head's full, fresh of ideas, you have no distractions early in the morning, or maybe it's midday. Of course, there's so many times of the day. And you probably just need to kind of be a little bit conscious of, the time you spend writing and what comes really easiest to you. Things to keep in mind here is also your energy levels and also the time convenience of, like, say if you have like uni or like school every single morning, it's not realistic if you want to kind of, start writing at 10 a.m. when you have a class at 11 or 12, if that makes sense. So yeah, try to kind of prioritize your time and kind of just like see where your energy levels are too, because sometimes I get really, really tired in the morning, which is so weird. I literally wake up and I'm tired, but in the nighttime though, I like right now I'm recording. It is like 9:45 and I am on top of the world. It is amazing. I am a night owl and that's when I have the most energy to write also. And additionally, location wise, I think it's good to switch up, but definitely just have a place, a time to write. And what I mean by that is, of course, when you're thinking about what time you find easiest to write, of course, is where you also find easiest to write. So if you want to, like, write in a cafe every day, that's not realistic. I think always having at least like, one designated part of your house, of your room, just to write, definitely have that. So they're just like some things to keep in mind. But yeah, routine. Just what time of the day, morning, midday, or nighttime. Choose your pick. Pick that. Anyways, yeah, so that's routine. Thinking about, yeah, where and when you find the most easiest time and place to write. Okay, so step 3, the last step, is habit. Okay, so I am very bad at keeping habits, not gonna lie, and this habit I've been trying to do so much, but it definitely is a struggle sometimes, and especially if I'm going through writing slumps, which I kind of am, kind of not. Also, stay tuned for a really big tip at the end of this episode because, oh my gosh, it's been saving me, like, right now. Like, it's been saving me, but that's a tip for later. But in terms with habits, so step 3, and the habit I want you guys to kind of try is to write every day. If you guys write every day, like now, like, you guys are amazing. Why are you listening to this episode? You're literally fine, but writing every day is definitely a struggle. It's definitely so, draining sometimes once you do it like very consistently, and especially if you try to meet a goal that day in terms with like your writing or your project, it is such a struggle. So I just want to kind of tell you guys to make it a habit to write every day, and to start off with, just try this for a week, try this for 3 days, just do it and try. The most important thing I think I want to talk about here is to just write something. It can literally be, if you kind of come to the end of the day, you're about to go to bed and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to write today. Just pull out your laptop, write one sentence. That is all I ask, and you can tick that off for the day. That is just what builds a habit. As long as you just write something, that is you building a habit every single day. Then once you kind of get the hang of it, you've written a little bit here and there, and you've just at least opened that document and written one word so it saves a new version. That is good enough. But as soon as you kind of, get that and you're like, you know what, this ain't bad. I think I can do that every single day. Then once you can kind of, write something every single day, make a challenge. And what a challenge kind of means is technically, you can think about this as time, word count, or chapter challenges. So these are the 3 that I kind of focus on. kind of really depends on the day too, but I usually go with time. And I'm not very good with times, as in like, writing from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. I cannot do that. Instead, I do timing like techniques such as the 20-minute, 5-minute, 20-minute rule, which is my favorite. I do that for all my essay writing and also my writing. So that really, really helps doing that 20 minutes, 5-minute break, then 20 minutes again. And you just do that consistently. I do that usually like 2 times a day. And that's my goal for that day. That's my challenge met. But if you maybe have, a word count goal, that could be also something like writing 2,000 words a day, which is a lot. Like if you can do that, that's amazing. Or you can do chapter goals. So if you are, working through your manuscript and you really want to get this chapter done, think about your chapter goals. A little tip that I kind of want to give you guys is the fact that I really, really encourage you guys, if you do want to have like the word count goal challenge thing as, the additional challenge for writing something every single day, I would not recommend that. I think I've said in a few videos about word count being not a good thing because I think it's kind of toxic. And sometimes it doesn't really, reflect what is going on in your story in terms of like the length of chapters, because chapters change, your whole, manuscript sort of length changes. And like, I think it's just a little bit restricting. So I would focus on chapters instead of word count. But of course, a word count helps you. Definitely go for it. Definitely go for it. So yeah, step 1, again, set your priorities straight. School first, then writing. Step 2, routine, and that is to find what time of the day, do a little experiment, write in the morning, in the midday, in the night, and see what kind of feels best for you. Step 3, habit, write every single day. At least try to write something every single day, and then as soon as you kind of, gain that momentum, write a challenge. Like put it on your on a post-it note, put it on your mirror, just have that challenge, write 3,000 words a day or write a chapter a day. That is something that is a challenge for you to achieve every single day, and you'll be able to finally find that sort of balance between your work and your school and also your writing. The third thing I do want to say is it's okay if you skip. It's okay if it is actually very, very hard. So take breaks when you need health. Like if you have like mental health problems or like, you just are feeling really, really bad that day and, having that expectation to write 2,000 words, it's terrible. And just being flexible with it is something I really encourage you to do. And the worst thing that can ever happen is if you do sit at your desk and you're like, okay, I'm going to have to, write something today. I'm going to have to write for 20 minutes, then 5-minute breaks and 20 minutes. I don't want to do this. The biggest piece of advice I have for that moment is to not write. I think it's like, it's something I've been trying to do, and sometimes it's very, very hard because if you are very dedicated to your manuscript or your projects, you just want to smash out and like write very consistently, but sometimes it's not worth it in the end because when you come back to that, writing session you did that other day, you're going to remember like, I didn't write that well, or I really didn't like the way that I worded this, and like, this was just a waste of time. I'm not going to work on this project anymore. Like, it can really lead to a lot of negative thoughts and negative feelings around not only like your actual manuscript and your project, but also the space you're in and just the mental space. So just be a little bit aware of that. And also, the last kind of few things I do want to talk about is that you don't have to actually write. When you are kind of coming home from school, the last thing you really want to do is have that pressure on yourself to physically write that many words, for example. So just remember that you don't have to be writing. You can be working on your book in multiple different ways. That can include brainstorming, that can include character developing, that can include designing your characters on Artbreeder, and I do have a tutorial on that, so if you want to see that, definitely do. Or that can include, plot developing, even making music playlists or Pinterest, or even, binging my YouTube videos that you can definitely do. Something to do with writing, listening to writing podcasts, having a writing meditation. These are so many different things that keeps you in the loop of writing. So at least you do something writing related every single day. So of course, the two options I kind of have for you there is to make it a habit to write every day, or make it a habit to write, to do something to do with writing every single day. And that's kind of a choice that you can make. Depends on how you're going with school. Maybe if you get into exam season, maybe do the latter, and so forth. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to kind of talk about, which was the big tip that's been helping me a freaking lot, and that is about burnout, writing slumps, and really just not being able to find the time nor the energy to actually write and work on these big projects that I have in mind. And the solution to this is short stories. Short stories have saved my butt. I can tell you how much fun it is writing short stories, and not only how fun, but how refreshing it is. It is insane. Just please try writing a short story, taking a break from that big manuscript. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be ruminating in your mind somewhere, unconsciously or consciously. But just try. If you are kind of dealing with a bit of burnout, if you are really just like feeling a bit bored with your projects, if you are just feeling tired after a long day at school, work on a short story. It can literally be under 2,000 words. And it is so fun. I feel like I always have so many ideas. So this really helps me just get into the writing mood, practice my writing, and also just feel refreshed and really excited about the whole art of writing. And I think that's the most important thing I can do right now when I am going through, the big uni week, the big uni term. It is stressful and you guys need a break, okay? I know you guys need a break. So yeah, definitely a big tip. Work on short stories when you are feeling bored with your own projects. Anyways, I talked about a lot in this video. I'm sorry if my throat's getting a little bit dry, but I am just so excited that you guys are just so passionate about writing. And not only that, but you really want to just find balance between, your different priorities in your life. And it's so amazing that writing is one of those priorities. And I'm just so proud of you for trying and for just being such an amazing, committed writer. Even just listening to this podcast is amazing. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And again, please take care of yourself and please take breaks when you need to. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And of course, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.